Great day, everybody. Terry Lee here. I am so excited to have you with us on this edition of Let's Talk BRI, bold, real, and impactful. I am delighted today to have a guest that's a fellow DFW business owner. Welcome, Mark Jackson. Happy to have you today.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a delight. Mark and I actually met networking not that long ago in Arlington, Texas, and it was a joy to meet him, and it's been a joy to get to know him better ever since. And if it's all right, Mark, I'm going to introduce you more formally, and then let's get bold, real, and impactful. How about that?
Of course.
All right, here we go, everybody. Mark Jackson runs a DFW technology company, Low Volt, where their goal is to honor God through their service, creating network and security infrastructures that exceed client expectations. Mark is also a motivational speaker with a heart to help and serve others. And that is truly Mark's heart. And I just love, I'm so excited to get to introduce you more to him, everybody. And so, Mark, if we were to talk about some of the things that are that I know are passionate to you, you're passionate about, let's talk about your journey with personal development. I think that some people can totally relate to that. I know I have my own journey, which is different than yours, but I'd love to hear about your personal development story.
Sure. So I'm an alcoholic to start with. I admitted my alcoholism a little over 9 years ago, and it's been just over 9 years since I've had a drink. Um, I did go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's where I formed my relationship with God. I had always believed in God, but that's where I, formed a relationship with Him, and it's continued to grow. From there, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous talks about a better way of life and following some certain principles, and it's been very impactful for me. From there, I went on to Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Og Mandino, and several others.
Mm-hmm. Tell us. I know you've easily told me just in conversation in the past a few, like, tell us like one lesson from them that has like really stuck with you and like been a major force in your life. I know you have one. I know you have at
Sure.
least one lesson. You got a
Yep.
bunch. Yeah.
Always do the next right thing is the main one, and keep your side of the street clean. So you don't have to worry about what others do, and it's often best if we don't. Just make sure we keep our side of the street clean.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. I love that. The theme of our talk today that I put that I put on the description of what we were going to do is life is messy. I know my life's been messy. Although, if my life wasn't messy, there's no way I would be hosting a podcast of this topic, right? Getting bold,
Sure.
real, impactful, right? And so I'm always willing to share my story, and it means a lot to me when others share theirs as well. You Thank you for sharing about being an alcoholic. Can you share a little bit more of how that played out in your life and that journey a little bit?
Sure. So my first wife and I, we drank pretty heavily. It started out, I was designated driver most of the time when we would go out, and I would have one drink and get everybody home safely. One New Year's Eve, we had taken a bunch of friends out, or a few friends out, and I realized I couldn't just have one anymore. I ended up drunk, and I still drove everyone home, and thank God we made it home safely. But it really, uh, I found out about some infidelity that was going on, and um, we had stopped drinking for about 9 months during that time. And at a high school reunion, we started again, and it was right back to normal. And we then started the divorce process. And after the divorce, I took about 2.5 years, and then I started drinking again, and it really got out of hand at that point. I was drinking, it went from tequila to wine to beer to where I was drinking, 2 to 3 pints of vodka a night, and then still going out for more after I got done if I hadn't passed out yet. One morning I woke up and finished a full pint of vodka before I left for the office. Thank God I held a job during that time, because I'm not sure. I definitely didn't do it by myself. I had God's guidance for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tell us. when we are in those situations, like in my life, there was like a game changer, like something that really was like, okay, what's going on?
Right.
Did you have something like that too?
I did. I would tell myself regularly that I had a problem, and I didn't want to admit it. I would physically hit my steering wheel on the way home, and I would say, "You don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it." And I would park at the liquor store, um, and I'd buy the 2 or 3 pints and finish it all. Um, there were probably two things. My daughter at one point, and this was probably later, but at one point had asked if I had ever left at night when they were sleeping, and
Mm.
I said, of course not. But I had to question myself. I often drank until I blacked out or passed out, so I couldn't say for sure if I ever had. Um, the other was my new girlfriend and I were fighting a lot, and I knew I had a problem, but she had called me an alcoholic one time, and man, that just really it stabbed deep because there was there was truth to it. So I had called our employee assistance program one day when I was, hungover at the office, and the lady that I spoke to, told me that I probably had a problem and that I needed to seek some help and maybe I should call Alcoholics Anonymous. That happened to be Oktoberfest at the office I worked at, and they had beer and wine and everything at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
I was offered about 24 beers to take home because that was what was left over, and I turned it down and went home, and I hadn't had a drink since. But that it was very difficult that day.
Oh, I'm sure. Thank God. Thank God for that day, though. And thank
Yep.
God
No.
for that decision, right?
Yep.
Because you aren't that same person now.
I would not be who I am if I wasn't. If I hadn't gone through the alcoholism and the infidelity, I would not have grown into who I've become. Looks like you've frozen. Are you still there? All right, there you go. It froze for a second. Are you
It froze for a second. I'm so sad.
okay? Oh,
It froze for a second. Okay. No, I the same person today, right?
right.
Yeah. I love tech, and then I love you tech, but yet anyway, we're gonna go through and find that, and we will edit that out.
Well, that's fine. It's
So
all part of it.
it's all part of it. You have shared with me because somewhere in your life you had an opportunity, you were working with a contractor, and that got a little messy, and I think there's lessons to be.
Yes, very, very much so. So I was about to go out on my own to start my business, and at my previous company, they were starting to outsource us. I saw the writing on the wall a couple years ahead of time. I started my business, and I started doing, evening and weekend work. Um, before I went full time, which I knew was going to be January of 21, I wanted to go ahead and pay fully for a pool, and that way I didn't have payments to deal with. So I took money out of my 401k, I refinanced our house, and then I paid the installments as we were supposed to. When they completed the pool and had everything decked, we filled it with water, and it wasn't level. It was a fiberglass in-ground pool, so they tore up half of the concrete and tried to level it on the side that was not level. Um, at that point, they cracked the shell. He was underinsured, so he did not have the coverage that he should have, and we ended up with a 16 by 32 foot mud pit in our backyard for about 2 years. So at that point, I was able to, finance a pool, and we did get one put in, but it was a bit of a headache in the process.
What would you say to people that are thinking about doing something similar with a contractor?
Yeah, I would say always finance it. If you do have the money to pay out of pocket, set it aside, finance it. The contractor's always going to get it done for a bank. Otherwise, they're not going to get paid. When we pay out of pocket, they have payment schedules, and it was supposed to be paid when all of the decking was done, and but it just didn't get completed the way it should have.
Yeah, sounds awful. We all have things in our life that show up and are messy, and that
No,
happens to
sure.
that way happens to be one of yours. Yeah. Tell me, I meet you out networking, and here you are. Um, you are the head of a networking and infrastructure company, Low Volt. Tell us about Low Volt.
All right, so we it's primary commercial. Uh, we're primarily in the commercial industry. So we do network and security infrastructure. So anything that's wired or wireless internet, we install and maintain. Access control systems for card entry into doors, we manage those as well. Apartment gates for like storage facilities, the vehicle gates and the personal gates, we do that work, and then we also can't security cameras.
That's so
So
great. That's so great.
yes, ma'am.
What is one of the most rewarding things at this stage with your company?
I would say just having happy clients that come back and send others to us.
Mm, that's the best. That's the
Yes,
best.
ma'am.
That's the best. And now you have this new journey that you are embarking on, and that is motivational speaking. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. It's been very impactful for me. I started out with, I don't know if anybody knows Jeffrey Gitomer. He has some little books, the little red book of sales, the little gold book of yes attitude, the little green book of getting your way. They're all just really easy reads and very quick. And that was my first taste. From there, I found, I admitted my alcoholism, and it really started to grow at that point. The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous it just has really good life principles in it, and it's led me to follow those principles and find them in other places and find other ways to communicate those principles.
So good. So good. Who are you hoping to speak to?
Anybody that needs, that's struggling with alcoholism or addiction, or anybody that I can help.
I love that about you, and I think it's important that for those of us that have made shifts in our life, changes in our life, that we do extend and hand out to the people that need us. I hate it when people have to stay one more day in whatever their pit is, right? If we can be there for them and help them. I love that. I love that. So everyone, Mark, I'm going to start to tie this up, but before I do, is there a final word you would like to say before before we begin tying up the episode today?
I'm just grateful that you had me on and that I can share my story and provide experience, strength, and hope to others.
That's right. That's right. I'm grateful to have you here. I'm grateful to have you show up in a bold, real, and impactful way, Mark, for sure. So
Well,
I'm
thank
going
you.
to put some information up, everybody. Want to invite you, whether you're like, oh my gosh, I need low volt services. I think I want to talk to Mark, or whether you're someone who identified with some of his journey and what he shared. Mark is here to chat with you. Mark would be happy to have a conversation and be of of service and help and support to you. So this is how you can reach Mark. Thank you so much. And I want to acknowledge our Let's Talk BRI podcast is sponsored by Nouveau Desk Co-working in Arlington, Texas. I'm a member at this amazing co-working space, and I love it for the community. I love it for all the tech that they offer, including media production rooms, podcast rooms, great meeting space. And so if you are in the DFW area, I invite you to go check out Nouveau Desk. In closing, if you today are interested and sharing your story. I would love to introduce you to the BRI Talks Global Speakers community. You can find more information at letstalkbri.com. We are passionate about your story. I believe every story matters, and we are here to help you tell it. So this is Terry Lee Harrison for Let's Talk BRI. We'll see you again next time. Thank you, Mark. Have a blessed day, and everyone have a blessed day as well.
Thank you. You too.